Okay, good morning everyone in Chazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Perashat Ki Tetze. Our parasha begins, Ki Tetze lemilchama lo oyevecha. If you go out to battle with your enemy, Untano Adonai Elohecha beyadecha veshavita shivyo, and you come back victorious. Okay, so back then, Torah says we had to go to battle sometimes. And what would be if we went out and we were victorious? Okay, so we were victorious. What's the problem? So the pasuk says, "V'ra'ita b'shivya eshet yifat to'ar." You may see out there as you're fighting a pretty lady. You know that the enemy they used to position women on purpose, dressed not modestly, in order to entice and to distract the soldiers. I remember when I was a teacher in high school. I had a student who was an amazing golfer. I'll never forget this. He was really good at golf. Actually, he was a freshman in high school, and he was already being scouted by the PGA, okay? And I mean, this kid was amazing. His handicap in golf, if anyone knows what that means, his handicap was 1.5, which is amazing. That means he only hits 1.5 shots extra every game than usual pros, okay? After 18 holes, only 1.5. I mean, that's amazing, okay? So this kid is really good, and one time he treated me to a round of 9 holes of golf, okay? He's a member at all these clubs. They all know him. They let him in for free. He gets merch and everything. So he's a really good player. And he actually just called me the other day. He got engaged. So it was very nice. But he's not in 9th grade anymore, okay? Relax. This was 7 years ago, okay? But either way, he took me for a round of golf, and I'll never forget when I was standing there with him. We only did 9 holes, and the kid is really good. And all of a sudden, there was one lady. She came onto the golf course, and she wasn't dressed appropriately. Okay. Now, mind you, this wasn't a shul. We're not in a bet knesset or a bet midrash. We're outdoors on a golf course. Okay, for the love of God. And all of a sudden, all these players, and they're not Jewish, they start bugging out. What does she think she's doing? Coming dressed like that to golf? Who does she think she is? She's going to distract us. We're not going to be able to focus. What does she think she is? Supposedly there's this, unwritten rule of golf that there's a certain etiquette. And this lady, she was here to play, but she was dressed inappropriately. And it threw the players off of their game. And they were so upset at her. And, I was like, wow, we should bring these guys to shul. You know what I mean? We don't talk like that here in the synagogue. These guys, they're more strict than us. You know what I mean? Unbelievable. So the Torah says, you're going to have, the enemy is going to try to distract you with very pretty women. And if you win, you may want to take these women for yourselves. And the Torah says you can, okay? You could take her because you know what? You know why you could take her? The Torah, Rashi writes, because we know it's going to be impossible for you not to. That is how strong the urge is. That at that moment, battle, we have to realize that a war, okay, battle, fighting, is not only physically dangerous, it's actually very spiritually dangerous. Which is why the Gdolim had such strong views, even more recently as they established the state of Israel, as to who should go to battle, whether men, women, right? Because it's not a simple thing to go out to fight. Just pay attention for 1 second to what we're talking about here. Who are we talking about went out to this battle? Who went to fight? What kind of Jews went? We're talking about top level Jews. Religiously, number 1, second to none. We're talking about the most religious guys out there. Think about this. The fellow, the Kohen, who gets up to encourage the people before fighting. He gets up and he makes a statement. He says, anyone who just got married, go home, right? You're fighting enough battles at home. You don't need to fight this one too, right? There was a teacher, she said to the class, who could tell me what's the difference between battling and engaging? Someone could said, engaging is what you do before marriage, battling is what you do after. Right? So, here is whoever got married, go home. Whoever built a house, go home. Whoever planted a vineyard, go home. And whoever's afraid, go home. Now, what does that mean, afraid? Afraid of what? Dying? Who isn't? Right? We're all afraid. I'm afraid. I'm going to go home. So our rabbis explain afraid means afraid of sins. Whoever's afraid of sins, go home. If you did sins and you don't think that Hashem is going to protect you now because of those sins, go home. Now think about that. We're talking about, so who stayed? Right? Hacham Ovadia, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, right? Who stayed? All these tzaddikim stayed. And yet the Torah says, we know you. Even you, tzaddikim people. That you stayed and you made the final cut. and you don't talk in between tefillin yad and tefillin rosh, and you don't do any sins, you wash netilat yadayim all the time, you say all brachot before and after, right? You don't learn Torah in the bathroom, the biggest tzaddikim. Nonetheless, these people have the ability, have the potential, have the temptation that if there's going to be a pretty girl out there in battle, they may do something, and the Torah therefore gives them the green light to go ahead and do it, because we know it's going to be impossible to tell you no. Okay? So this is what the Parashah is saying on a simple level, on a pshat level. However, our rabbis come and say, according to the Baalei Musar, on a more Musar, ethical level, our rabbis read over here, Ki Tetze la milchama al oyevecha. We have to remember that Ki Tetze, the moment we come out into this world, Ki Tetze la milchama, we are here to fight. Life is a test. Life is fighting. Life was not meant to be tranquil. Life was not meant to be calm. Life was not meant to be, a walk in the park. Life is a battle, and we have to realize that from the moment we come out, we are constantly being tempted. We are constantly being tested. We are constantly fighting. There is an enemy, and his name is the Yetzer Hara. We have to realize that the moment we come out, Ki Yetzer lev ha'adam ra mineurav. The moment we come out into this world, there's a Yetzer Hara that's in every single person. There's laziness, there's selfishness, there's arrogance, there's jealousy, there's hate. Every one of us. And we are here to fight. And a person sometimes comes into the world. And we have to remember, my friends, who's the real enemy? Ki tetze la milchama al oyevecha. Don't forget who's the enemy. Sometimes we turn the wrong people into the enemy. Sometimes we fight, but we're fighting the wrong person. Sometimes we're fighting our brother, we're fighting the competition, we're fighting our sister, we're fighting our parents, we're fighting our in-laws, we're fighting our spouse, we're fighting our children, we're fighting with the guy in shul, we're fighting with the rabbi. Sometimes we're fighting with the wrong person. Who's the real enemy? Who are we really here to fight? We can never forget, my friends, who are really here. The real battle is the Yetzer Hara. Not the guy in shul who got aliyat chamishi and you got shishi and you got chamishi. That's not the enemy. The enemy is not the other rabbi who's having another class with other people. That's your friend. The enemy is not the guy in shul who's doing another event that you're not doing, that you're not behind. That's your friend. That's helping you. You're doing one, he's doing another. You're both soldiers fighting. Who is the real enemy? Who are you really fighting in life? How many people, how sad that people waste their energy. Their whole day is fighting, but they're fighting their spouse. They come exhausted all day fighting the wrong person. And when it comes time to fighting the real battle, I can't. I'm exhausted already fighting. My this one, my that one, my the other. Who's the real enemy? Ki tetze la milchama al oyevecha. I always laugh when I see these athletes. Think about tennis players. They have the qualifiers now. You have these athletes who are top in the world. How much work they had to do to get to where they got to. Just think about that. What you need to do to be in the qualifiers in the tennis, in the US Open. How many junior tournaments you have to win and how much hard work. You're 22 years old, you did nothing your whole life. I mean nothing except for breathe, eat, and sleep tennis. Yeah? Your whole day is about tennis. And you finally made it. And you're now top 128 people in the world. And you make it past the first round. And you get to the second round, top 64. And you make it to the third round, 32 people, and then 16, the round of 16. Can you imagine what that means? You're in the top 16 players in the world, potentially, of tennis. Yeah? How far you came. Now imagine just this guy. And forget it about if he goes further around, 8 and then 4 and then to the finals. I'm just talking about even a guy here. And then you have some guy in the back row, a heckler. Somebody who is just, making remarks. You're a loser. Just quit. That's what you do best. Go home. You're a clown. You're a joke to the game. You got no game. Get out of here. Just leave. You're an embarrassment to tennis, right? You have this heckler sitting up there, a lowlife, a loser who has nothing. He's not good in tennis. He can't even, buy his way into a tournament if he could, right? The guy stinks in everything. And he's heckling who? Who is he heckling? The top players in the world. How silly if this guy, this player, this athlete, this professional turns around and starts fighting with this guy. And he's yelling at this nobody, this lowlife. Get out of here! Who are you? And the rest of the tournament, he's fighting him. How silly would that be? Who's the real enemy? Who are you really here fighting? The enemy, the opponent, is the guy on the other side of the court. You're getting distracted with this heckler. This guy's a lowlife. He's a nobody. He's nothing. You can't spend the game thinking about him. Your 100% of your energy has to be focused on this guy. That's your real opponent. Who's the real enemy? Who's the real enemy? And sometimes in life we forget that. We forget who we're really here. And instead we make our whole life, our whole day, about fighting the wrong people. That's not our battle. Our battle, who we're here to fight, is the Yetzer Hara. You know, the Gemara says, the Midrash says, I want to tell you about these maybe we said in the past, but there are dogs in Rome that are very, very clever. Okay, you ever heard of these Roman dogs? I never heard of Roman dogs. I heard of Roman artichokes. I heard of Roman, right? I never heard of Roman dogs. But the Midrash says that there are these dogs in Rome that are super brilliant, super clever. Let me tell you about these Roman dogs. You ready? Here, everyone with me? Okay. Most dogs, let me tell you about most dogs, and then I'll tell you about the Roman dogs. Your average dog, when a dog's hungry and he wants a loaf of bread, what does a dog do for a loaf of bread? So he sneaks up into the bakery. He sees the pile of bread in the basket. When a baker's not looking, he jumps up, he grabs the bread, and he starts running away. And the owner, the baker, he looks around, he sees the dog running with a loaf of bread, and he starts chasing the dog. You get back here with that loaf of bread, I'm going to get you. You're never coming back in the store. And he puts a sign, right, on the door, no dogs, right? And from now on, this guy makes sure never let a dog in the store again. Okay. But then you have the Roman dogs. Let me tell you about the Roman dogs, okay? The Roman dog, very smart. You know why? Look what he does. He comes in and he's chilling. He just acts like he's no harm. He's sleeping, right? All of a sudden, when he sees the opportunity, he doesn't grab one bread. He grabs the whole basket. Takes the whole basket of breads and he starts running. He starts running for the hills. He's jetting with 50 loaves of bread. It's the whole baker's work of the whole morning. 50 loaves, and he's running with all of these loaves of bread, and the dog's going, and the baker says, you get back here, and he chases the guy, he chases the dog, and finally the dog sees that the baker's getting closer and closer and closer, so the dog at the last second drops all the loaves of bread, and he runs away, and all he gets at the end of it all is again one loaf of bread. And these are the very clever dogs of Rome. And the question is, really, are they really so clever? What's so clever about these dogs? I mean, how many loaves did the dog get at the end of the day? Got one bread. And the other dog number one, also got one bread. So they both got one bread. If anything, if you ask me, who's smarter? The first dog is much smarter. I mean, talk about a cleaner job. If I had to hire a hit dog, right, to do a job for me, first dog is much cleaner. No noise, no commotion. He does the job. He gets it done. He gets me the loaf of bread that I need. Gracias, merci beaucoup, right? Shukran, habibi. If he's, an Arabic dog, whatever it is. Right? This other dog, he goes, he makes noise, and what do he accomplish? It's what we talk, it's right? Kelev noveach eno nosheach. You ever heard of that phrase? His bark is louder than his bite. Right? He makes a lot of noise, but how much did he get? He got one loaf. And yet, somehow the rabbis are telling us, no, this is a very smart dog. These Roman dogs, they're brilliant dogs. Why? And the answer is, think about it for a second from the perspective of the baker. Baker, let's go to dog number one. What does the baker think after dog number one? After dog number one comes, the baker, what does he say? I lost today. I lost the bread. Tomorrow, the baker's going to be much more vigilant. Much more on the balls of his feet, much more aware. Yeah, he's going to be much more prepared tomorrow because he realized today he lost. But go now to dog number two, to the Roman dog. What is the baker thinking in case number two? Case number two, he thinks to himself, why? Those dogs, I showed him. He got nothing on me. Don't you ever mess with my bread. Look. And he comes back to the store carrying 49 breads. And really, he walks away thinking he won. And that's the brilliancy of the dog. Because the dog really won. The dog got his bread. And really the dog only wanted what? What did he want? How much could he eat? All he wants is one bread. But he got you to think that the battle was over 50 of them. So when you end up retrieving 49, you walk away thinking you won. And that's the brilliancy. The brilliancy of life is getting someone to think they won when really they lost. And that's what the Yetzer Hara does so many times. So many times he gets us to fight and to battle over 10 different things. Should I wake up? Should I not wake up? Should I put tefillin? Should I not put tefillin? Should I pray? Should I not pray? Should I this? Should I not that? Should I this? So by the time we get to shul, we already fought 5 battles. And you know what? He lets us get them back. He lets us win. He lets us wake up, and he lets us go to shul, and he lets us say modani, and he lets us. And by the time we get to the 50th bread, we don't even care to chase it because I won 49. And really what ends up happening is he won. He took away a bread. But when we look at our morning, we look back and we reflect and we say, okay, I won today. Today was a good day. And really, we don't realize that he won the 50th bread. We didn't have kavanah when we prayed. I didn't concentrate today in prayer. I didn't concentrate. But you know what? I don't even think of that because I won 49 other things. I won 49 other things, so I forget that I lost one. And it's important to remember this, that in life, this is the brilliancy of the Yetzer Hara. He's going to come and throw everything our way. He's relentless. He doesn't stop. Every day. There's never a day that he's not going to fight us. How old are you today? He's been around since you were born. And he's going to be there till the day we die. Every day he's going to wake up for work, coming to fight us. And remember that. Ki tetze la milchama. The Chafetz Chaim, when he was an older man. So one morning it was very cold in Russia, in Radin. And as he's waking up for Shaharit to pray early, crack of dawn, the little voice comes in his head and it says to him, Yisrael, come on, you're an old man. You don't need to wake up today, every day so early. You earned a break, no? I think you deserve it in your old years. For 70 years you woke up early. Can't you get one day sleep in? One day, okay, so you'll pray 7:30 instead of 6:30. Big deal. Do you have to really wake up, go to work every single day? You know what the Chafetz Chaim did? He looked inside of himself. He turned to his Yetzer Hara, and he said, "But I don't understand. You're older than me, and you woke up today. So if you woke up to work, why shouldn't I? If you woke up, why shouldn't I?" This is a man who understood that life is a battle. And every day, till the day we die, al ta'amin ba'atzmecha, we cannot let our guard down. You have players that they're winning in a tennis match. They're up 2-0, and it's match point. They have 5 games. And the other player is done. He's finished. And all of a sudden, somehow, this other player wins the match. And they're up 40-love. It's match point. You know how that happens? Because for a little moment, the winning player let his guard down. For a tiny moment, he said, okay, I could take a break. I'm up 2-love, 2-0, 5 games to 1, or whatever it is. And when you're up 40-love, 40-15, you say, oh, it's okay. And your mind a little bit slips from the game. And that's a very, very dangerous part of the match. Because at that point, the other player wins the point. He wins the game. He breaks you. Then he holds again. And before you know it, you're only up 2-1. And now it's a fresh new set. And all of a sudden, the guy ends up winning the match. We have to always remember that we are fighting. Life is a test. The only difference between us and the Gedolim and the Tzaddikim. Let me tell you the only difference. You ready? There's only one difference between us and them. And that is that they live life realizing and knowing that every moment is a constant battle, another struggle. Another moment to either build or break, to do good or to destroy. Every conversation with my spouse, I'm either going to get stronger and more close or more alienated and distanced. Every time I talk to my child, either my child's going to walk away feeling better about himself or worse about himself or herself. And it's up to me. It's in this conversation. This is a very important part of the game. This point matters. Every day matters. Every conversation matters. Life is made up of constant little conversations and moments. And every single one is another battle. Tragedy, divorce. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes you speak to people, they're getting divorced after, decades of marriage. They say a joke of a lady, she came to the rabbi, she said, Rabbi, I want to get a divorce. He said, you want a divorce? But you're married for 35 years. You want a divorce? You know what the Gemara says about people who get divorced? The Mizbeach cries. So the lady said, Rabbi, I cried for 35 years. Now let the Mizbeach cry a little bit. I did my crying. Right? So sometimes you see couples, they get divorced after 40 years. Wow, what happened? You wonder what big fight, what thing? And you know what, really, usually it's not a big fight. It's just every day, a little bit of ignoring, a little bit of no attention, a little bit of just disrespect, too much, a little comment, years and years and years and years of build-up. Tragedy is a process, my friends. Never forget that. People don't fall in one shot. People don't become, suicidal, depressed, on the heaviest drugs in one shot. It didn't happen overnight. It started one day in yeshiva, little bit. That's life. Life is those things. That's why, how many fasts do we have to commemorate the loss of the temple? Anyone know? Gedalia, very good. Gedalia, Asara B'Tevet, Sheva Asara B'Tammuz, Tisha B'Av. 4 fasts. 4 fasts. Rav Moshe Feinstein asks, why do we need 4 fasts to remember the same thing? Like imagine, right? How many times do you celebrate your birthday? Right? Once. It's a birthday. Some people like to make 18 different parties for one birthday. They're 10 years old and they celebrated 180 times. Right? Celebrate with my friends, with my mom, with my dad, with my siblings. Another one, and everyone I meet has to tell me happy birthday 18 times. And if they don't tell me the amount of how old I turned, that amount of times happy birthday, then they didn't tell it to me yet. Right? Some people are like that. Okay. How many days do we need to remember the Beit HaMikdash already? 1 day. 1 day. 4 days. You know why? Says Rav Moshe Feinstein. Because we have to realize that destruction didn't happen in 1 day. It wasn't in 1 day. It wasn't in 1 day. Happened slowly. You know how Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, the Gemara says? Kamta and Bar Kamta. It wasn't a big story. It was a little story. It was a guy, he kicked the guy out of his party. Alright, kicked the guy out of his party. Not the nicest thing. Not the biggest tzaddik. Fine, big deal, Rabbi. Big whoop. Did I kill anyone? I kicked the guy out of my party. We're not friends. I asked him to leave. Big whoop. Yes, things like that destroy the Beit HaMikdash. Little conversations is what destroys marriages. And little conversations are what build marriages. You can't give your spouse once a year a big ring and expect you to have a good marriage. No way. No, ladies, am I wrong? I mean, they'll take the big ring too. But I'm sure every wife would much rather have daily beautiful moments. Smaller. But that's how we build. You don't build a relationship with your mom with a Mother's Day gift once a year and then you're MIA for 364. No, that's not how you build it. It's every day, a phone call, how are you, a text. This is how we build. So we have to realize that this world, this life that we're here, we came into this world. We came out into this world to fight. We're not here to relax. We're here to fight, and we're here to fight oyevecha. We're here to fight the enemy, and who's the real enemy? And when a person remembers that, when a person remembers what they're really here to do, what they're really here to accomplish, and every day is another battle, every day is another fight. Every moment, he's waking up, he's there, he's coming to work, trust me, he's not taking off. Yetzer doesn't take off. Every moment, every day, after this class, what's the next battle? And when I'm aware of that, and I realize, you know what? Here is a test. Someone's going to call you one day today after this class at some point, and they're going to say an ugly remark or an ugly text, or someone's going to ignore you, or someone's going to do something that's going to upset you, or maybe you're going to have tested with it patience or anger, or, right? And when I realize that this is a test, it's much easier. When I say, hold on. Imagine someone embarrasses you. And then all of a sudden, I come and I whisper in your ear, by the way, Shamayim's testing you. The cameras are right there looking at you right now to see how you respond. And based on how you respond is whether or not God's going to send a shidduch your way, or whether or not God's going to send the children your way, or the money your way, or the health your way. How you respond. I say, what, really? Yeah. Okay. Bring it on. Yalla. Hit me with another insult. Dirty me again. Make fun of me again. Say another comment on the Shabbat table. I don't mind. I'm being tested. You can't hurt me. Right? When I know I'm being tested, it's much easier. when I know life is a test. So you smile to the camera, bring it on. I'm ready, right? Make believe you're on the Truman Show, right? Make believe you're being watched. You know, I'll tell you something, I love chess. I love chess. Anyone here like chess? I watch a lot of times these chess puzzles where you have to find a mate in two, right? It's white to move and to mate in two. And a lot of times, I find the answer. I got very good at finding the answer. And then I realized that this was a game played between these two grandmasters. I say, wow, I don't understand. If he could do it, if Magnus Carlsen found this mate in two and I found the mate in two, what's the difference? I'm just as good as him, right? You know what's the difference? It dawned upon me. The difference is that I was told that there was a mate in two. He wasn't. That's the difference. In real life, when you're playing a real game, no one tells you there's a mate in two. The greatness is that he found it without being told. He was able to see that there's opportunity here for greatness, for growth, without being told that there's an opportunity for greatness, for growth. And really the whole game, he's setting up. And when it was there, he was able to find it. The tzaddikim live life always realizing that there's a mate in two. There's an opportunity here that I could do something amazing. And there's something here, there's a person here that I can make an impact on. And hopefully it'll be something better, not worse. Living life that there's a mate in two. That there's over here a test. Ki Tetze la milchama. So that is the lesson, my friends, from the beginning of our parasha. We have to remember, number one, who is the real enemy? We got to stop fighting with the wrong people. We cannot make battles in life. We cannot exhaust energy on this silly guy who's sitting in the back row who paid a few $100s, who's a lowlife and a nobody. And I'm top in the world. I cannot be wasting any zero mind space on this guy. Yeah, there's no room for this guy anywhere. This guy is not my fight. Whatever this guy says, it doesn't matter. It's nothing. I'm here. I made it to the arena. I'm on the court. I'm in the players' lounge. How could I let that affect me at any way whatsoever? Who's the real enemy? We cannot spend our day fighting with family, fighting with relatives, fighting with friends, fighting with neighbors, over bickering and stupidity and spouse and children, parents. We can't fight over these things. There's a real fight that we have to be having. And we're getting distracted on a silly battle, on a silly thing, on a back row guy. That's not the guy. We have to stay focused on the real fight. This is the fight. This is where I'm fighting. Who's the enemy? Ki Tetze la milchama al oyevecha. And we have to realize that the oyev, the enemy, the Yetzer, is brilliant. He's going to come different ways, throwing different things at us. Sometimes he's going to come sleeping. Sometimes he comes like a dog, making us think we won. Sometimes he's going to come, by the way, I'll tell you another secret. And the last one for today. Sometimes the Yetzer comes and he hands us mitzvot. Believe it or no? Sometimes the Yetzer will hand you on a silver platter a real mitzvah, not a fake mitzvah. I'm not talking about a mitzvah with a sin attached to it. I'm talking about a full-fledged mitzvah. Sometimes he'll hand you a mitzvah. You know why? Because we have a misconception. We think that in Shamayim, we think that it's going to be plus and minus and cancel out. So if I did 5 sins and I did 10 good, so the 10 overpowers the 5, 10 minus 5, and I'm left with a net of plus 5. So my 5 and 5 cancel out, and I have 5 mitzvot left, right? That's how I used to think of it as a kid. That my good outweighs the bad. And if I have, right, 1 bad and 10 good, so I'm left with a plus 9. And the 1 bad is erased, and 1 good is erased. Right? That's how I always thought about it. And the Rambam says it's not the case. The Rambam writes that that's never the case. Actually, every one of us has to account for every single bad deed. And even if I did 1 bad thing and 1,000,000 good things, the bad thing has to be addressed and apologized and accounted for. An apology is in order. And I have to address it. And so what happens is a lot of times we justify the bad that we do with all the good that we do. And we think that, you know what, it's true, I did 1 bad thing, but I did 8 good things today. So I'm at a plus 7, honey. I'm good. Overall, I'm in the black, right? I'm in the black. And really, that's a very wrong way of looking at bad and good, right? Yetzer Hara does this. Yetzer Hara gets you to try to do good and forget about your bad. Don't worry about the bad that you did. So a guy could do something wrong, but it's okay. You did something good, so it's fine. You did 2 good things, so it's fine. You did 10 good things, so it's fine. No such thing. Right? I'll give you an example. Here is a guy that Yetzer Hara comes and says, you should work on Shabbat, answer the email. It's a big order, you're going to make a lot of money, and you should give tzedakah with that money also. You could pay for your kids' tuition with that money. You could buy kosher food with that money. Right? We have to realize that all the good that we do with that money will not outweigh the bad that we did to earn that money. And it doesn't equal out. And it doesn't justify it, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. The Pasuk says that you're not allowed to bring, as a korban, certain korban are unacceptable. Okay? They're invalid. One of them is called a etnan zona. Etnan zona, let me explain to you what that means. Zona, we know. What's a zona? A prostitute. Okay? What's etnan zona? So let me explain. Imagine a guy goes to a prostitute to have services done for him, and when he's done, he has to pay her. Not today, I imagine they take credit card, but back then, they probably didn't have credit card. So how do you pay a prostitute back then? You could pay her with cash, right? Or back then, people paid with maybe animals. You gave her a nice sheep, right? I don't know if today that will work. You can't give a prostitute a sheep. But back then, they used to give prostitutes a sheep. Here you go, 1 sheep. I don't know how much a prostitute cost back then. But you gave her a sheep for her services, okay? So you gave a sheep, and now you have a sheep that was used as payment for Averah, for a sin. Is she allowed to bring this sheep as a korban one day? One day she wants to bring a korban. So this is called etnan zonai. Not allowed to bring it. Not allowed. Invalid. It was the payment that was given to a prostitute. Now you think about it, it's just money. What does it matter? Money's money. This dollar or that dollar, this sheep, that sheep, it's a sheep. And you know what the Ramban says? So most people will say, well, look where it came from. It came for promiscuity. How could you use that for holy? The Ramban, Nachmanides, says no. You know why you can't use the sheep? Not because it came from, but the opposite. Because of where it's going. Because if we allow you to bring this sheep to the temple as a korban, in your head, you're going to start justifying, you see, it was good that I did this sin. Look what came out of it. A beautiful korban. So you're going to think that the good that you're doing with it will forgive you for the bad that you did. You understand? So we have to ask ourselves very, very, deeply, personally, where is my battle? Who is my real enemy? What are my tests? Where is my maiden too? What are the things that I'm doing that I'm covering with mitzvot? Where is he coming and taking a loaf of bread that I'm not even noticing? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. May Hashem bless us to be able to always remember who the real enemy is. Never to fight, unfortunately, with the people that really are close to us, people that matter. That's not the enemy. When we remember the real enemy, we remember these lessons of the Oyev, we'll come out victorious. Amen. Okay, we'll stop over here. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.